Okay, look, I'm really fired up today. I'm an angry man. I really, you get to my age and you get pretty narky. And the one thing that really pisses me off is being told I have to vote in an election I have absolutely no interest in. And the one I have the least interest in of all is the Melbourne City Council elections. Why? Because, one, all the candidates are crap, and secondly, I don't even live there anymore. But because I own a flat in the city, I have to vote. And if I don't vote, these bastards are going to fine me $78. Now, that may not sound like a lot of dough, but put it in perspective. If you don't vote in the Australian federal election, it's only $20 fine. What is so important about the local council elections? Well, the answer is absolutely nothing. And that's probably why they're trying to get more money out of us, because basically their level of self-importance is way out of proportion with their actual importance in society, which is a big, fat, round number. I can't stand these bastards. What they're trying to do is feather their own nests and make it seem like they have only noble intentions. But we know what's going on at council level. You know what's happening under the table. I don't have to draw you a diagram, do I? Let me put it to you this way. What do councils have control over? Planning. And what do developers want? They want their plans to be okayed. And how do they do it? Through inducements. So you put you join the dots, and I think you'll work out what's behind it all. Not only that, these guys, especially these ones who are actually in power, Doyle, the bloody Lord Mayor, this guy had the audacity to run on a no junket ticket. He didn't want to go overseas. He didn't want to go overseas and abuse his role as Lord Mayor. So what's the guy end up doing? He goes overseas on a council junket. This is why these guys always have these sister city agreements. It's great. It justifies these dickheads travelling overseas on council rates to supposedly fact find. What a load of garbage. Anyway, so I'm less than impressed. Why in the hell should I have to vote in the first place? And the idea of actually being fined for not voting for these insignificant assholes is unbelievable. It really gets me, and I wish Australians would wake up and say, well, look, okay, maybe it's a hassle getting people out to have to vote, but that's part of the process. If you couldn't give a rat's about the people standing, that is making a statement in itself. If you couldn't give a rat's enough to get off your ass and actually vote, you're saying something about the quality of the people. And if it drops below 50%, if it drops below 20%, you shouldn't panic. You should just say this is a reflection of what people think of the candidates. They're garbage. So I have no problems with non-compulsory elections. I think compulsory voting is an absolute disgrace. This is a freedom, like the freedom that we should have, the freedom to pull the plug when we want to die. I believe that's a freedom we should have, and the bloody government should have absolutely nothing to do with it. I believe this is a similar case. So I'm a bit of a libertarian in that regard. But getting back to this election, really, you should see the people that are put up as candidates. Now, the first one here, as I say, is Team Doyle. So it's Robert Doyle and some other guy I've never heard of, which is generally the situation with councils. You've never heard of these people. And the other guy, I don't know who he is actually. I don't even want to explain, because you'll never hear of him again anyway. So, but they come up with these incredible cliches like our ambition is to have our city is to be competitive, sustainable city with high quality of life. What the hell does that mean? Seriously, what the hell does that mean? It's absolute drivel. It's cliche. city, and it just tells you nothing about the people. I want to know who these people are, not cliches that are motherhood statements. I mean, you know, can we just do without the cliches for once? Is it possible? Looking at another one of the candidate teams, you've got Together in Melbourne. Again, two people I've never seen before, got no idea who they are. But apparently, the team of Ken and Sue breaks both the bamboo and the glass ceiling. Bamboo being because he's of Asian descent, and of course the glass ceiling because she's a female activist, obviously pushing against the glass ceiling, which I think is the biggest load of crap out anyway, because I think now women get a pretty good run generally, and you don't have to have quotas. And if that's what she's pushing for, I totally disagree, but that's just me. I really think everything should be on merit, and I believe women should be encouraged. And I was a great believer in the women's lib movement in the 70s, but it's gone way beyond that now. So it's just out of control. But using sort of those sort of cute terms like we're going to break the bamboo and the glass ceiling. As a matter of fact, I think the Melbourne electorate, the central Melbourne electorate where the Melbourne City Council is based, is predominantly Asian now anyway. There's so many Asian students there that may be entitled to vote. I don't think they have to worry about a bamboo ceiling. I think actually it might be an advantage being an Asian candidate, to be honest with you. Just looking through more, well, there's a team that probably won't even let him live long enough to survive the next 4 years, so I don't know if they're much point voting for them. Oh, here we go, a couple of my favourites, the Greens. And here we go. Cities should be built for people, not property developers. Oh, yes, we hate business people, we hate private enterprise. We're the Greens, we're hard left, and we want everything run by the government, and we want the government to run your life. That's the agenda they like to run. And now, here we go. We are Dr. Olivia Ball, a human rights advocate. Oh, just my dream girl, a human rights advocate who's an academic. What a great Quinella that is. That's the last person I would want in power. I'm fed up with academics telling us how we should run our lives. And the human rights, yeah, we know what that means. Bring in the refugees, give them everything they want. We know what that agenda is. It's the Greens. The other weird thing is, though, her running mate is Roxanne Ingleton, and she's a midwife. Sounds like a normal person. I don't know how she got through the net, but she says she might be halfway decent. But yeah, the other one is just a classic Greens candidate. And now we've got on top of that, we've got this mob called Strengthening Melbourne, and Strengthening Melbourne. The name of the woman this is a woman's name, I never heard of it before. Doone Clifton is a local activist. Oh, just what the world needs, another local activist. North Melbourne resident and a long-standing member of the ALP. What a superstar she'd be, because the ALP is such an illustrious organisation these days. They're really doing it for the working people, aren't they? Not. And finally, last and certainly least, and a team I could not go unmentioned, although they are pretty well unmentionable, and that is Phil Cleary means business. Well, personally, I think Phil Cleary means BS and always has. This man is so full of hot air, it is not funny. One of his main policies is to make Queen Victoria into an alternate energy hub. And I'm thinking that's great, because Phil is so full of hot air, he could be the first exhibit in this clown show. I mean, it's a classic example of just throwing away ratepayers' money on some pie-in-the-sky scheme. But that's classic Phil. He was an independent federal MP, and he was full of BS then, and he's full of BS now. He played football, I think, at the VFA level in Victoria, and I just think maybe he got hit a few times around the cranium in the ruck, a few too many times, and a bit of maybe there's a bit of concussion kicking in there, because I don't think he's a particularly clear thinker. And of course, he comes up with the other one about, we're going to stop these evil developers building dog boxes in the city. We're going to have proper apartments. Of course, if you say that you're going to have larger apartments, that means they're going to cost more. So who's going to be able to afford to pay for them? Because a lot of these people are students, and they don't. And if they're Asian students, they're probably used to a smaller accommodation space anyway, and they'd appreciate the fact that it's actually cheaper. But you know, these people don't think about that. They're more worried about the aesthetics and you know, they've got higher aspirations than practical considerations like that. It just pisses me off. Look, I really have utter contempt, as it's obvious, for this whole process. And it's not just for the bloody election. It's also the people who run the election, Victorian Electoral Commission. They're an absolute joke themselves. I've had my run-in with these idiots before, and they tried to fine me for not voting a few years back. I was actually in the Philippines. I was overseas on a trip. It was about a 3 or 4 week trip, so there's no way I could have voted. There was no options there. And I told them that. They wouldn't accept it. In the past, if you'd written that down as a reason for not voting, they would have accepted it. But not these days, because it's obviously a revenue-raising exercise. They're trying to get money out of you. And I had to go through a lower court to eventually provide information. They were going to send the sheriff out and all this other garbage. It was right over the top. And I finally just sent them a copy of the actual flights that I'd booked, and they finally accepted what I said. But not before. Lots of public money had been wasted on having notices sent out to me and follow-ups and what have you, if they just used a bit of common sense in the beginning. But as I said, the agenda obviously is to make money, because they've got that $78 fine. Now, that's only Australian dollars, I know. That means a conker shells to a lot of international currencies, but it's still $78 as opposed to $20 in the federal election. It's obviously there to make money. But, you know, try telling the VEC anything like that. I should have complained to an MP about it, but I have no faith in them, so what's the point? You feel powerless these days, seriously. And just a note also on the AEC, the Australian Electoral Commission, who also didn't exactly cover themselves in glory with a recent election. That's right, the election that was held where Turnbull just scraped back in. That recent election last year, I happened to be in Saigon when that took place. These idiots at the AEC couldn't even advertise the correct date for the opening of the ballot boxes in Saigon. They got the dates wrong, and they had. I came across an expat there who'd made a third attempt to go to the Viacom building in Saigon to vote, because these idiots couldn't convey the basic information. I think the first time they just weren't ready, and the AEC hadn't actually conveyed to them that they actually expected them to have voting take place then on a Monday, so they weren't ready until Wednesday. And the guy turned up again on Wednesday, and then they didn't have the proper ballot papers, so he had to come back a third time. They don't care about us. They couldn't give a stuff about us. It's all for the bureaucrats, and they're doing a lousy job. And I'm going to be making a YouTube video about that too, because I really think it is time that we get governments in that take on the bureaucracy. And a few heads need to roll. There's a lot of overpaid people in Australian bureaucracies who are providing crap service, really crappy service. They're not doing their jobs, and it's about bloody time they're accountable. So yeah, I'm angry. I'm angry about the fact that the people in private businesses in Australia, in the main, they are accountable for their actions. If they stuff up, it's going to either affect their bottom line or their reputation, or both. And you know, they can't keep doing that. They will go out of business. But the government never goes out of business. They always have their grubby hands in your wallet, and they're just extracting more and more dough out of it. And we need to keep these guys in check. I agree totally with what Don Chipp said years ago. Keep the bastards honest. when he was setting up the Australian Democrats. We always have to keep the bastards honest, because they really are suspect. They've got to be treated as suspect, the MPs and the public servants, and they've got to be kept accountable. So that's my little tirade today. My next YouTube video will be a little more pleasant in that I'll be looking at the new TV shows. So I hope you appreciated my passion, because I really am pissed off no end with this whole situation. And look, you may well feel the same from wherever in the world you're watching. Have a good day.